Islamic economics, you know, when you go to the higher level, there is no distinction between economics, accounting, management, finance. And I tend to believe that economics is the mother subject and everything comes out of it. So the movement started with Islamic economics movement back in 1970s when the Islamic development came in, you know. So it is an old history. I just want to throw some points to you that whether we really do have anything that we call Islamic economics. Now, early writings in this area mainly discuss principal Islamic economics as derived from the primary sources of Islam. They mainly dealt with Islamic worldview, property, inheritance law, consumer behavior, finance, interest, and zakat law. It was not clear whether the scope was to study an economy that abides by the rules of Sharia or to study all human societies according to the guidance of Sharia. Yes, Kabir Hassan has a book, I was told I haven't seen them, called Islamic Macroeconomics, and I'm sure he's writing on Islamic macroeconomics too. So that book, I do not know, I hope probably he has integrated both sides of the way the spirit of Islamic Sharia will be reflected into the Islamic economics. Now, what we have seen so far of the books, okay, somebody has written of the inheritance law, or social justice, or distributed justice according to Islam. So what basically you have read the main text, the Quran and Sunnah, then you have written and put this in a logical way, but that doesn't make it an Islamic economics, right? When you say Islamic economics, something that is neutral for all religion, but the source is coming from, the anchor point is Quran and Sunnah. Challenge was to develop social science about a model economy that did not exist in the real world. Moreover, the teachings were lying buried in pithy and difficult Arabic texts. So I'm sure if you pick up any text, even let's say CSR, corporate social responsibility, Sharia governance, yes, we'll be bringing some of the existing literature from the conventional one, and we will be, putting in, interjecting, intersecting some of the ayah from the Quran, from the Hadith, and we make it, Islamic corporate social responsibility. But where is the basis? Where should start? Like, what is the view about life and hereafter? In the conventional space, when you say that they have created law of demand, is this law of demand is value neutral, or should it be something Islamic into this thing, or it is a tool that we can use? Interestingly, if you study this Islamic financial contract, like Mudaraba, Musharaka, that existed even before the time of the Prophet. And the Prophet just simply accepted it as a way of financing in Islamic mode, right? Because it's profit sharing. So in Islam, and actually Islam enriched, it started in the Arabian, but it really traveled all the nook and corners of the world really. It's not any single place you will not find as a Muslim there. The preaching of Islam did not go there. So whenever Islam went to Persia, when Islam came to Malaysia, to Indonesia, it enriched by interjecting with the local cultures. So you see Islam someplace, the concept of jihad takes one meaning, and concept of jihad takes another meaning in another part of the world. And it also depends on the society that you are in. For example, interestingly, I have a number of Arab students. They come from the GCC, Jordan, and that area. Very interesting, invariably, when you say, for example, in South Asia, that I'll do this, inshallah, I really mean it. Even though I do not, but I mean that I will. But the meaning of inshallah, if you hear it from an Arab student, does not have any meaning. When that person says inshallah, that means he leaves to God. That means he's not going to do it. Now you might say, Prof, why are you saying this? I have at least a 10, by the way. The last number I will update you. I have 32 PhD students completed. Out of 30, I have 10. So I'm talking about and I have this whole spectrum of students. Those are very religious, and those are non-religious. And invariably, everyone has the same meaning of inshallah. That means doesn't mean anything. And then one day, like for example, you have a meeting, I have a meeting with Prof Adib, and 2 o'clock, and I show up at 4 o'clock, and I lie. I will make up a story. So one day I caught one of my students, and I said, why are you lying to me? First of all, it's good that I'm staying here still because I always work, so I forgot it to be time too. But in a normal sense, you don't. Really, Prof gives you time. Then he was a very religious man. Then he started opening up. Said, Prof, look, we come from a culture and society is so repressive. We do not know what the other guy has in meaning. So it just we are conditioned. It doesn't really, because you do not know. It's not an open society. And you'll find in an open society, and give an extreme example on the other hand, United States, sometimes you lie to your kid, right? You lie to your kid to sort of tell them. But in the United States, they remember what you said, and they take it for face value. And they'll remind you next time that you lied, that you said it this that time, why are you telling me this? So I'm saying the 2 different cultures, the way they grow up, they open their mind, they open their heart, they will tell you exactly what they have in their mind, they are not going to do that. Exactly the opposite thing is happening in the Arab countries. I'm not blaming it, I'm talking about the society, the way you grow up, and that really influences your behavior. Why I'm saying all these things? Now, fortunately or unfortunately, these crux of this thing started from the Arab world. Actually, there are a lot more writing in Arabic or in Persian, the Shia tradition, than in English language, really. It's a treasure that we have not really. Maybe you're writing a paper or you have written a thesis, somebody has done it in the Arabic language and Persian language, simply because you do not know, so that dissemination was not there. In the past, what was scholarship? Like during 700-800 years during the golden ages, the scholarship was that you had the ability to translate one text into a different languages, from one language to the other language. That was the major source of scholarship. Like that's the way the Latin and all the other things came into our realm, and we enriched them, and also it went the other way around. We preserved really human civilization, even though we are not getting credit for it. Now, having said all this thing, so what we have achieved so far? You have a Center for Research in Islamic in 19th century was a turning point during the last 2 decades. Literally thousands of publications, hundreds of seminars, conferences, symposiums, courses, website hosting literature on Islamic economics and finance have appeared. Most of this literature is sponsored by the Islamic finance industry and does not add much to the knowledge base in Islamic economics and finance. It's monotonous, repetitive, tends to wallow in endless hair splitting. Read some of the documents. Look, there was one in 2011, and there's another one going to be this international conference, the one that started in 1976. They have, I think, 9th one will be held this year. And I'm sure you have submitted papers. Just look at the last years if you happen to be there. Again, you write a paper, stability of Islamic financial system. Fine, so you take some data, you try to run some regression, and you think one is stable, then the other is stable. Fine, that's a useful exercise. But how is it creating or establishing your economics as a discipline that will be used by everyone? The very word Islamic turns 30% people off. Even among us too. Some of us probably believe that anything that has the name of Islam is allergic. You know, secular versus non-secular, and that debate also exists in your own society too. Even though the Malaysians in general do not question the centrality of Islam in their public life, but still the question remains, what part and which way it should be impacted our life, right? So there's the past, there is, PN. By the way, I was very surprised. I didn't know that PN has, what do you call this? What's the word? It's Bengali, what's the English word? Is the measuring tool?
Oh.
They are the symbol, the Russian symbol. Yes.
Weighing scale.
Yes, scale. Yeah, weighing scale. Yeah, thank you. But the weighing scale in our country, or country I come from, Bangladesh, the religious party has their election symbol as a weighing scale. What is the symbol of past? Past is the religious party here.
Yeah.
What is their symbol? Full moon. Oh, okay. That's a competitor close. Full moon. Okay. The place where the center is situated, they have renamed it now. It's called Institute of Islamic Economics. From center, they made this an institute. So institute means they have a dean now. And the dean, Abdullah Turkistan, is a good friend of mine. So now, when it becomes dean, that means they have more budgetary allocation, and they are allowed to offer degrees now. In the past, their entire job was only to do research. Look at their research for the last 30 years. They publish a Scopus index journal called Journal of King Abdulaziz University, Islamic Economics. And I'm sure many of you have published there, including myself. Again, the way you should define a field, that sort of writings are not there really. Yes, okay, we come out with the definition of government. That is useful. We interject on the Islamic standard. That is useful. But does it really create an entire discipline? Like in macroeconomics, if you study, you have the rational expectationist school of thought, you have the neoclassical thought, you have this monetarism. Within their discipline, they have different sub-disciplines. But can we say that we do have something like that? We call Islamic capital market, by the way. Shahida is interested now. I have a edited book, Islamic capital market. Yeah, I read and edited. I asked few of my friends to write chapters. Islamic stock market, or speculation stock market. The different aspect of Islamic regulation. So, but does it really call it an Islamic? What part of that is Islamic? Establishment of the center, King Abdulaziz University, Jeddah hosted the first international conference Islamic in 1976. Thereafter, hundreds of seminars, workshops, and discussion mooted held all over the globe on Islamic economics and finance. Universities, Islamic financial institutions, and various NGOs in the field hosted these events. Then you have our field. We have created all these organizations. Accounting and Auditing Organization Islamic Financial Service in August 1990 by a group of Islamic financial institutions. It has been publishing standards and norms for the Islamic financial since 1993. I would say that AFI has done some useful thing for the Islamic financial institution to follow. So they have put the due diligence, they have come up with some rule setting that the Islamic financial institution can, so something useful, practical. But it has a practical value. What is a conceptual value? Is then Islamic accounting should be different from conventional accounting? Teaching of Islamic economics in universities. A number of institutions now offer courses, but most of the courses pertain to Islamic finance rather than Islamic economics. Because, very interesting, the industry is moving ahead of us. The industry is growing 15-20% in terms of making money or providing services, giving an alternative, but from the conceptual level where you create knowledge is going slowly. A mere 2% total courses offered in those programs are in Islamic economics and finance. There is now realization that the greater attention has to be paid to teaching of economics Islamic perspective than to the teaching of Islamic economics. So teaching of economics in Islamic perspective than to the teaching of Islamic economics. So what is Islamic economics? You read the Quran, you dissect it if you're a good alim, and you write very good English, you can come up with volumes. But teaching of economics in Islamic perspective, that's the most difficult thing to do. You have to, deal with many people that have different thoughts and ideas. Please don't misunderstand. There are people like Asad Zaman, Nazatullah Siddiqui, Umar Chapra, and there are people who are thinking how we should really establish a new discipline from the conceptual standpoint. And they are fighting, and actually right now, this morning I was reading, one group fighting with other group. There's Masudul Alam Chaudhary. So one guy calling the other guy name. We wouldn't believe. What happened, Nazatullah Siddiqui posted his recent writing, like Islamic economics realities. So he asked a few of us to comment on it. So Masudul Alam Chaudhary replied back, "This is trash." Then Asad Zaman came back, he was in between. He said that, okay, these are the things you should look at. And then Shahid Ibrahim came back. He said, Masudul Alam Chaudhary is a trash. He has never published in ISI level journals. You see how these things are going, how fractured we are. Even the language. Come on. Now, Shahid Ibrahim thinks that publishing in ISI level journal makes him a great scholar. So if you use that criteria, none of these people, including Habib Ahmed, including Mehmet, including Omar Chapra, including Nazatullah Siddiqui, fall under this category. So that is also wrong criteria. Who are the ISI? Is there a single Islamic economics journal which ranks ISI? No. So how can you use this as a parameter? So if I publish there, that gives you an authority. So I'm saying, giving you which way the discussion is going. And it's 40 years. I'm not talking about the charge. I'm talking about these people, adult people, who are well established in their own right. So in general, there is a lack of sufficiency, depth, coordination, and direction. The teaching faculties in many cases are found short of needed knowledge, scholarship, and commitment. Yesterday you're not here, I told a joke too. I said there's some truth to it. Once a Malaysian academic become an AP, you will never see this guy in the building because he is roaming around making money. The reason I'm saying this is because so much money floating around in consultation, research grant, this and that. You don't need to. Unfortunately, economics is a little bit cornered, but if you're in banking, finance, accounting, am I right? I mean, these people are very busy. So everybody talks about the opportunity cost of money. Yesterday I was sharing my experience with the textbook that I have written in Pearson. We take a break in between, I'll bring the book, I brought it with me, I got my copy. It took us 3.5 years to write this textbook. And now I know why the academics do not write textbook. First reason, you are investing among 3 of us, only 10 chapters. 3.5 years, it had gone through so many revisions, so many review process. And when you write a textbook, that means you have to talk to a student like as if you are there. Only difference is that he is reading and he can see you what you are saying. So the language, the mode of delivery is totally different. So in that sense, I haven't seen Zubair's book about Islamic economics. There is a single, it's probably the first one. It's a fundamental level, higher level, 3rd or 4th year undergrad or first year of master's MBA level text. Now I can see why there is not, because who is going to invest 3.5 years? In the opportunity cost, simple economic law, the opportunity cost is very high. By writing this textbook, am I going to be rich? The answer is no. Do you know how much you will get among 3 of us? Out of net sales, 18%. We will divide between 3 of us. So 6% each, putting 3.5 years of your prime time writing this thing. But the good part is that, because Pearson is the largest textbook publishing company in the world, secondly, this book came up loaded. Loaded means it has an instructor's manual, it has PowerPoint slides ready, it has test bank. So you, from the standpoint of the adopter, because you as a faculty member, you find it very useful. Because it will make your life easy and you can do more consulting yourself. In a sense, otherwise you don't have to prepare. You can probably modify slides here and there. Everything is loaded. It has an ebook version too. So if some student wants to buy an ebook, they can do that. I'll show you this. It came up with, if you see a Pearson textbook, I'm sure you use financial management or any other book, the way it is written that way. So here comes the question, I do not, of course I do, I'm not going to keep, I did have a commercial motive of writing this book. Because my daughter just, she's a freshman at Harvard, I didn't know that I have to pay so much money for her education. I have to pay $65,000 US per year. So 65,000 means I do not get any tax break. So if you combine, tax adjusted is about 90,000. So I tell everyone now I'm Harvard poor. That means after paying my daughter's fees, I'm basically a poor man. So what happens in the United States, in this country you have, scholarship. In the United States, yes, you can get 100% free at Harvard. But it depends on your family income. And how do we define family income? From 0 to 60,000 in the family income is, your child can go there for free, completely. Not only that, she will get an additional stipend so that you do not create a burden on her so that she has to worry about her family. You follow what I'm saying? From 60,000 to 160,000, depending where you are, you will get some scholarship. So let's say you're 70,000, get 90,000. When you reach 160,000, your family income, zoom. Your child does not get a single penny. But you can debate whether it's right or wrong, this and that. So there is no merit-based scholarship in the top schools in the United States. There is only need-based scholarship. So I was thinking, I didn't know that my daughter would go there, but alhamdulillah. But the planning started a long time ago. But it happened that the book was written. Hopefully I'll make some money, so to make me get me out of the poverty line. The projection is that it can hit the market because first mover advantage. The second book, if somebody even follows us, it will take another 3 years. So by this time, once you take a adopted textbook, you really don't want to change it. So we have been playing on this hypothesis. Problem for textbook, as I said, I already told this story related to Tari. Conventional theory deals with positive statements as it is. Formulating a positive economic theory is a difficult task for Muslim economists in the absence of any real-life evidence or empirical data. Moreover, they are not yet sure whether Islamic economy is positive or normative. Up to June 2011, no standard text for Islamic economics was available. Actually, I read my ignorance about Zubair's book, I haven't seen it. This time I'll take 2 copies. Research in training institutions. Okay, we have ARI, it's a Center of Excellence in Malaysia. How many Center of Excellence you have in Malaysia? 6. And it's one of them. Do you have one in UiTM? In the social science? Mostly in sciences. So, okay, so this is the only one outside of science, right? ARI in Malaysia, right? I must tell you, this is the only place I have seen, this is ruled by women. From the faculty to the student, 90% of them are women. And they're very efficient, really. I must say, I've been coming to Malaysia for the last 3.5 years. My entire thing was scheduled, what day I'll do what, when I'll eat, when I go to bed. Everything is set. They're telling me what to do. I really like it. And very, very organized, very professional. Maybe it's the nature, like our mothers, how they organize things. They have done a wonderful job. But they also do a lot of things. The Malaysian government does not just simply give them Center of Excellence just because it's arid, right? They have to show the output. And there are people engaged, in the last 2 days I have been listening, hearing the research ideas, and students are coming to me, talking to me, and there will be more as, until I leave. So this is something, the research. But when you do this, in addition to a couple of organizations which are exclusive devoted to Islamic finance, a large number of consultancy services and other educational organizations offer courses on Islamic finance beyond their other business. Most of the research and training organizations in Islamic economics and finance offer courses for developing human resources for Islamic finance industry. You have INSEAD. Many people, I have a prediction, INSEAD eventually will go out of business. Not that I am against INSEAD, but the central bank does not have any role to create an university. Look at INSEAD, this, again, doing an objective analysis. It's headed by a person whose highest degree happens to be a bachelor's degree. No, there is nothing wrong with it. You will see a lot of British professors simply has a bachelor's degree, but they have risen up, they have gone up, moved up because of their scholarship. This guy has never taught a single course. He has always been in the industry. She has been picked up by, ZE, simply because control mechanism. So sooner or later you will find out as a viable institute, it will be absorbed by some of the public universities. That is mine, because they cannot continue doing like this. Yes, they are taking everybody from sucking up the cream of the Malaysia. Probably half of this Islamic university faculty went because they pay 2 or 3 times more. So they do, but how long can you continue doing this? When Zaki leaves, because she is a very energetic and pragmatic lady, she is creating a lot of institutions, I'm afraid what's going to happen to the future of this. And you guys don't like it either. When you see your friend going there 3 times more salary than you're making, probably you have something that you want to go, that creates a social attention. We are all human beings. So you are always looking at these things, they are on your radar screen. If the question is, if they do a great job, better than you don't mind. But what is happening? Do you know what is the average age of the faculty at INSEAD? 60 plus. You tell me, at the age of 60, what do? You enjoy your grandchildren. You retire and do something else. So I have been telling them, you have to bring younger faculty. And the younger faculty, in the United States, you'll be surprised, I told this story. In any university you go, the highest paid faculty members happen to be the guy who hired 2 days ago. Why? Because we believe in market prices. So the price has gone up. So let's say you are unhappy at it, that you hired this guy, yesterday he's making $20,000 more than me, I've been here for 10 years. What option do you have? Because you're training him. And that is the price thing. Yes, you're going to squeeze him when his tenure time comes in. You probably pay, but for 5-6 years, he is making more than you do. So what you can do as a reaction? You can leave the university, take another job, so that your price is adjusted to the market. If you buy a plot of land 10 years ago, because it was 10,000 ringgit, it could be 2 million ringgit right now. But it's in paper, in your mind. It only will be realized if you go into the exchange, right? You sell it to someone. So something happens in the academia too. So that's the point that I am trying to make. Yes, a lot of organization is coming up. There is also research when you talk about intellectual freedom. Do you have intellectual freedom to do research you like? On institutional level, Islamic Economic Institute or centers of research are hardly the places for free intellectual activity. The governments or other influential people who provide finance would like to keep the organization within the constraint of defined freedom of thinking. Like your friend, last time she wanted to go, but she said that no, we don't have, we can take. But they could have taken, right? One more student they could find. In the name, this constrained thinking. Again, it's not really, this is also everything that I also, it's me, I'm part of this discipline, part of the society. So all the criticism equal to everyone. Who are the audience of Islamic economics? The manner in which the Muslim economists actually started using Arabic words indiscriminately in their writing actually restricted the access of their intellectual outputs to wider international audience. When you say Sharia, you just completely blank 50% of the audience off because they are not from the Islamic tradition or they are not even Muslim. Unwittingly, they have made Islamic economics a closed discipline which none others but hardboiled Muslims should study. Even ordinary Muslims should not try to dabble into it. If you're not a past member, you're from BN, but it's a national, you'll have a problem. You have to be a past member to understand what is going on. I'm just giving an analogy. Shift away from Islamic economics to Islamic finance. Islamic finance or original subset of Islamic economics but now sits on the driver's seat. Everybody is crying. If you talk to Shahida, people want to write, Islamic microfinance, Islamic accounting, Islamic corporate governance. How about Islamic distributive justice? There's a market for it. A lot of business schools are springing up. They want to offer a bachelor's degree in Islamic economic banking finance. So they want to shift there. And one of these things that a problem in our British or colonial countries, who are the British colonies, that we are very compartmentalized. We do not want to see, okay, we want to see what is your degree in economics. Oh, so you're out. But you could have thought the course is very better than the guy who has a degree in Islamic finance. But in the United States, fortunately, we don't have this problem. We hire economics guy to teach finance. We hire finance guy to teach economics. It depends on what you research and what you have done. But in Malaysia, it's not possible, right? First thing they will see your degree. So now the market dictates that there is higher demand for PhDs in Islamic finance. So why should they go to Islamic economics? Strategy basically the same thing. So practically Islamic finance hijacked Islamic economics, which was supposed to provide the theoretical foundations. There is hardly any theory that provides a unifying link between the existing positions on various issues. There is no strategic thinking on the subject. So everybody is straight. So that's why the conversation I told you, one guy is telling other guy name, you don't know anything, I published this and that, I'm the great guy. So what is the meeting of minds? How should we proceed this discipline further? Narrow focus. The focus has been on a narrow range of subjects. Most of the researchers and scholars have written on interest of zakat to the neglect of other areas. So now you have added one thing, wakaf. So you had zakah and interest, now you have wakaf. And corporate governance has become a cliche right now. Again, that is a problem with conventional corporate finance too. A lot of papers. So what is corporate finance? Nothing works really. Look at the crisis that happened in 2007, 9, 8 and 9. It's a failure of corporate governance. So why should you say, okay, we should have more independent directors? They are also the problem too. There must be something else. And that's why there's a gap created. And that's why Islamic conceptual basis can fit in. We believe that this is the last testament or divine guidance from God, not only to Muslims, to the entire human being. And that's why really all these gaps are there. But the level of understanding and thinking and training that you need to get into this thing, it's not easy. In the West, in the Muslim world, we have tendency to blame everything on the Jews. Oh, this happened to my country because the Jews conspired to do and this and that. Really? That's what they would think. But have you seen a Jewish guy, the amount of labor and energy worship Hussein? I'll make a statement too. This Shia and Sunni tradition, you'll find a lot more real, in-depth research done in the Shia tradition than the Sunni tradition. So you devote your time, unless if you read 5 hours versus 1 hour, the guy who reads 5 hours, even though He's less intelligent, learn more than the guy who was doing for 1 hour reading. If you look at even Islamic studies, one of the top 5 scholars in the world are a Jewish guy. Because they really put their energy, they take this as a commitment, as a devotion, they take this as an act of ibadah. But we should have done that way, right? Because everything that we should do to please our Almighty God. But look at what we do. We're trying to cut corners here and there. You know, even I'm advising, like one of my sisters yesterday, well, you do this, you keep it that way because you need to finish. Because there's other constraint. But we have not really done that the way the others do. The Chinese. You blame Chinese in Malaysia. Look at the Chinese. Even if you compare the Chinese and Malay, they are hardworking. I'm not saying anything. They are hardworking, and hard work ultimately leads to, more resources, more knowledge. Of course, they're coming in, all these things are coming in. But the bottom critical factor that distinguishes labor. Islamic economics and human economic problems. Islamic economy did not make distinction in understanding human economic problems such as poverty, underdevelopment, distribution of income and wealth, unemployment, inflation, environmental balance. All religions have been pro-friendly, Islam practically so. So what is the difference between Christianity and Islam? If you look at the text, there is not much difference really. Again, we believe in the India text too, because even though they corrupted, there's a lot of similarities, right? Nevertheless, the attention paid to zakah, sadaqah, and awqaf, the most poor-friendly of Islamic institutions, has been sporadic and feeble. Islamic economy focuses on man as well as on matter, but economic agents hardly heeded it. Even statesmen bent on Islamizing rarely picked the idea. Okay, we take zakah is a big, great institution. Then we do, okay, whether Islam does this, okay, do fine, all this research. But I'm talking about how we make this accessible to entire humankind. It's not only the Muslims. The Quran did not come to Muslims only. Allah has said, the implication is that if the Muslims do not follow the Quran and Sunnah, God is going to take it away from them and give it to somebody else. It's a blessing. It's a guidance. And where do you see this kind of thing is being implemented? In Islamic economics, banking, finance, whatever name you put it in. Islamic economics and Muslim economics. Muslim economists have shown scant interest in the study of Muslim economics. Muslims behave differently from the way he or she should behave, cannot be addressed without knowing what actual Muslim behavior is. Is the law of demand different from a Muslim than a non-Muslim? Even within the Muslim, you can say it's different. So demand for, I'm talking about luxury goods versus necessity. So where do you draw the line? Again, then you talk about Muslim versus non-Muslim. There also the Christian tradition, this guy who became a pope, he comes from Jesuit tradition. He is very poor, friendly. He is like all the, beautiful objectives of life. We should help each other and so on. So there are traditions. So where do we draw the line? And if there is a line, how should we develop this? Should we discard a conventional law of demand, consumer behavior, or we should modify this? Or we should come with totally different perspective. Some people believe that we should start from a different perspective and create a totally new field. But some people say that, well, there is nothing wrong with the tools. But how the tools should be used from the Islamic perspective, or it can be modified, that is good for everyone. So there are two schools even, those are trying to develop this field. Similarly, they need to know whether the existing institutions are actually playing the role claimed for them in Islamic economic literature. In reality, there is nothing in the literature of Islamic economics that can be presented as study and analysis of Muslim economics from an Islamic perspective. So can we say why Malaysia, 30 years ago my parents tell me the Malaysian students used to go to Bangladesh. If you now look at 30 years later, the Bangladeshi students are coming to Malaysia. And Malaysia has become, and education has become a big export industry. Not only Malaysian. If you walk down, it's a series of Iranians walking down the street, because they look different, so you can tell right away they're Iranians. Or from all over the world they are coming. They have created this industry, they have developed this mechanism, standard, they're following. So that's created the demand for it. Absence of theory of prosperity and misery. The Muslim economists have been trying to fine-tune or Islamized theories of development economics, but proving superior Islamic economic system over capitalism. So we talk about, oh, capitalism is bad, socialism is bad, Marxism is bad, Islam is the best. But you have to prove your point. How do you do that? They have neglected Quranic verses related to economic prosperity and misery in human societies. You know, there are different verses when God tells and tries to teach a lesson that I have destroyed this society because such and such, because they have not followed me or did something wrong. So the misery and prosperity are there, but how they use sort of translate this into economic theory. How to translate this into what is happening to the Muslim societies. You know, the King Abdulaziz University is the oldest university in Saudi Arabia. Would you believe they have their first international conference in 50 years in 2009? And I was invited. So you would be probably the first time they're doing it. First of all, look, 50 years, and UiTM, ARI has a program like this almost every other week. So they have spent millions of dollars, not Malaysian ringgit. And if you look at, they have this big hotel, you know, the delegates are being, you know, escorted, and they have bought cars and this and that. But when you come to the reason it is happening, the program itself is so poor. I mean, you almost laugh. And not only that, nobody's there who is going to sit and listen. Like now, you know, they will say now this modern gadget, of course, you know, I fought with my wife for a long time not to have a mobile. But finally, she wants to check on me. So the mobile technology is good, right? You know, you emergency, so you don't have to go to landline. But this is also bad. Now they can catch you even in your bathroom. Because mobile is with you, and if it is on this, you know, FaceTime and internet, now you can connect with the rest of the world. You can probably talking like Shahida is right now doing, connecting with her friend in Australia. So you can do all these things. This distracts you. Why I'm saying this, why this is happening in the Islamic world and why it is not happening in the rest of the world. You know, yes, we have created great leaders in the 20th century. They're leaders like you, former Prime Minister Mahathir. There's some of the leaders from other countries too. But we do not have the critical masses of leaders who can really provide the critical leadership for the Muslim world. Like for example, in the United States, you know, my son looks like me. Looks like me means, you know, when you see first time you say, oh, he's Indian or Bangladeshi.
Oh.
Yeah, but when you talk to him, he's totally American. The thought process. Now the best I'm trying to do is trying to instill the Islamic values into him. So far he's praying, he is 16 years old, but I do not know what will happen 4 years down the line. That's the best we can do and pray and create an environment so that they carry on these values. My daughter, you know, she is big time in religious pluralism. You know, she believes in the coexistence of all the faiths, but she is a practicing Muslim, she prays and all these things. But how long is going to continue, I do not know. You know, in the society, if you live in the United States, at least you live in the culture, but you know, 90% of their time, my children are spending outside. Only 10%, even we are not able to, you know, get used to eating our food. They eat American food. You know, at least when you're home, eat some, you know, the rice and dal and all these things. They're not. They're getting used to this alternative food, so we have to have two different cooking systems in the same house. So these are the things we sort of grow up and why this is happening and all these things. No theory of income and wealth distribution. You know this guy? He has a lot of dollars. The Muslim economists did not pay much heed to these verses of the Quran, as is evident from the neglect to develop a theory of income distribution in Islam, although the content of these verses suggests a great potential for doing so. No Islamic theory of economic development. If references of the divine text and the assumption of an ideal economy are removed, the Islamic concept turns out to be so close to the capitalist concept of development that it becomes difficult to tell one from the other. The Muslim writers of economic development did not develop the concept of man's vicegerentry and his role in development. According to Quran, the primary role of man is to develop sources of the earth. Any activity that defeats this role is against the very concept of development in Islam. What we are doing to this? Yes, some countries are doing better than the others, among the Muslim countries, but I am talking about it from the theory, conceptual standpoint. We want to stand this as a discipline, as a pursuit of knowledge, as an area to explore, as an academic discipline. No macroeconomic theory. Islamic economics simply replace interest by profit-sharing ratio, and interest zakah as a tax without assuming any substantial change in the behavior of economic agents. Since there is no way to verify the results of doing so due to lack of empirical data, there is no generally accepted macroeconomic theory in Islamic economics. Yeah, one study that you're saying, okay, zakah if you use for capital formulation or capital accumulation, then the guy, and if you use the microfinance alone has to be repaid, but in zakah money does not have to be repaid, so there are two different incentives. But how do you integrate that very thing, the observation that you find from a research into an economic theory? That is the next step we need to take it. No macroeconomic theory. The characteristics of true Muslim: honest, frugal, productive, sacrificing, generous, content, altruistic, and righteous. You put any of these things and see how many fits you. Do not exist anywhere in the world. Okay, I may be one or two, but the rest are missing. Those who have all these things, they do not live in this world. They become awliya, they become very pious men. But you need people, we need to deal with these people. Okay, I pray, I go to the Blue Mosque, but at the same time I watch Hindi movie. I watch the Indian actors, beautiful actors dancing. But now we have to develop a theory and you have to control how this society will move up. Do you have a movie industry in Malaysia? You make movies?
Yes.
You do. Do you watch it? So whatever theoretical implications are derived from this behavior are more of an intellectual excursion than a theory of understanding the economy and its actors. Most fundamental concepts in macroeconomics, such as law of demand, could be totally missed out by Muslim scholars. Do you have a law of demand? Okay. Find law of demand. It's a relationship between price and quantity. There's law of derived demand, then you have other factors, right? So you make an Islamic law of demand, have income, and you call this as a religiosity, something like it. But the question is, how do you measure it? Is there an index of religiosity? Can I say you are better Muslim than me? Where do you draw the line? Who is the judge here? It's only God, right? Yeah, one judge I can say, yeah, I do not pray. Or Adib doesn't pray, I pray, so I'm a better Muslim than him. But Adib says, why you do not see me and pray? But I'm praying. I'm praying in Zahiri or Batini prayer. So your tendency, you are a kuffar. Even within our Islamic sect, I'm not talking about Shia, I'm talking about Sunni sect, And if you go to Pakistan, they have the Dawbandi and the Brehri. And Dawbandis are saying the other sects are, they are not Muslims. They hate these guys more than they hate Jews. Really. Huh? That's madhab I'm talking about, right? And do you have this problem? At least you do not have any peer, this religious guy. You go to the tomb and offer prayers. Do you have that in Malaysia? In Bangladesh, we have this a lot. You think that your problem will be solved if you go and offer Fatiha to this mazar, to this graveyard. You are talking without the influence level, really. You pray to this dead man. And you are trying to connect with God through this dead man. So what is the difference between Christianity and Islam then, if you believe that? A dead person, he is even worried what the hell is going to happen to him. And you go and pray to him that he is going to solve his problem. You negotiated God for you. So I'm talking about, in the matter of faith and this and that is happening. I was in big trouble, in Pakistan. I was there in March, offering a training in the Institute of Business Administration. And I did not know. And I was saying, I was making a speech like this, and one lady after that said, I take offense at your talk. These guys, you're saying that, they're not really dead. They can listen to you. And she is Western educated, and she is holding a responsible job and position in the society. So where to draw the line? The economic history of the Muslim people not documented. Muslim economists have not done much to explore the first 8 centuries of the history function according to Islamic law and social norms. Nevertheless, trying to copy blindly financial policy of the Islamic states of early days would be counterproductive now, as it would not generate enough resources for the state to achieve its objectives. Okay, all you read in the history book, the golden era of Islam. But have you seen a serious economic history written on this period, analyzing them? Like where the Joseph Schumpeter analyzed the economic history, even ignored the 500 years of achievement. He called this a great leap, but there is a great leap. Has anybody done that? You tell me, if you study economic,
there's a book, Islamic Economics and Social History by Wilson.
What?
By Wilson and L.S. Curry.
Oh, recently they wrote a book on the
2003.
About what? About the economic history
Islamic
of
Economics and Social History. The title is Islamic Economics and Social History.
Islamic economics and short history. They have written. Actually, that is, if you read Islahi, Dr. Ismail at the Center of Islamic Economics has written a series of books, and actually I reviewed some of it. Again, it is a narration. I'm talking not deep analysis what happened or not happened. Role of government in Islamic economy. It seems that Muslim economists who delve into the romantic view of Islamic government do not have any perception of the capacity and the will of the government functionaries in the present-day Muslim societies. They have not realized properly that the Muslim economies are steeped in corruption and fraud and have moved away from the pristine values of Islam. Think about Iranian revolution. People are disenchanted. Yeah, they are good people, believe me. I don't have any. But you are dealing with, when you are in power, you are dealing with multitude of problems. These are not really everybody is a pious man that you tell them and they will follow. Look at most recent Muslim brother in Egypt. These people, they denied power 40 years, they came to power. They have all this, dedicated worker, but they are facing problem. Because your assumption, this time of the Prophet ﷺ, all the Muslims are like that. It's not true. They are bad people. Like a Christian is, like a Jew is. All these dirty things we have. Just because my name is Muhammad Abdul Qadir Sulaiman does not make me a better person. So what is Islamic economy anyway? The Muslim economists have not so far handled the basic question, what are the minimum and sufficient conditions for an economy to be called Islamic? What will transfer the present-day Muslim economies to Islamic economies? taking the present-day Muslim economies, why they are not treated as Islamic. So, what do you think? So, we have a lot more work to do. Oh, I attended a conference in Qatar. 9 to 1, people from all over the world came. Like this paper. You can feel self-content, but that doesn't help neither to the creation of Islamic economics as a discipline or yourself as a serious focus. Now, if we talk about economic history, even in the United States, nobody takes economic history as a subject because there is no job. Now we talk Islamic economic history. So how you should create this? There should be allocation of budget from the thinking from the top that we need to have people come here. So we have to have an opportunity for him later on so that he can establish a career out of it. Common language of Islamic economics. For Islamic economics to make progress, it should have a common language with agreed definitions of words, terms, and concepts among the researchers. Rather than diverse pattern of glossaries attached to the book on Islamic economics. When we say law of demand, whether you are in UK or the US, everybody understands. Do you have a common term, language that we have developed? Yeah, every book comes with a glossary. We try to, actually that's a good exercise, because that is converting to developing a common language, but we're far away from the objective or this level that we need to achieve. So overall assessment of the work in Islamic economics. Islamic economics movement started with the objective of developing distinct branch of knowledge that studies economic problems of man within the framework of the Sharia. When I say man and woman, I mean both. Most of the work is conceptual, not even theoretical in strict sense of the term, since there does not exist in Islamic economy where these concepts can be verified. The Muslim economists have not been able to develop its macroeconomic or macroeconomic theories and to ponder deeply over the Quranic guidance. Maybe the original promise to develop distinct discipline was not well founded. Let's take a break and then having criticized what can be done to talk. Okay? 10 minutes break. Do you have something for our